Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all in between. Jason, my brother, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. How was your week?
That was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, nothing eventful, but
Yeah, that shithead from work blew up like the next day, like a little baby. It's like,
oh,
dude,
that's still
I'm
going on.
54. I don't got time for, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's like if you're gonna live there, have fun. I'll be on vacation elsewhere.
Right on.
So we have a we have a really cool episode. We have Fred Bonanno joining us.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna bring Fred on here. And Jason made contact with Mr. Dallas Toler-Wade originally from Nile and then from Narcotic Wasteland. And he's going to be our guest tonight. And he's going to talk about, I'm fascinated with speed metal because I'm an old school metalhead guy. And then things went away from me. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's certain, and then when we were first starting out, it was metal.
Yeah.
And there was thrash.
Yeah,
And
the genre things.
Yeah, and then they went dun, 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 dun. So now there's just as many subgenres within heavy metal
Right.
that there used to be, in all of music.
Yeah.
Fred, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Fred?
I'm great. I'm awesome. How are you guys tonight?
Good.
All right, hanging in there. How was your trip to Italy?
Happy Saturday. Italy was fantastic. We had a phenomenal time, 10 days, hanging with Jeff Tate and his Backstage Pass crew. And just a great time. And Italy's beautiful. Had a little incident on the way home.
What was that?
Because I had bought I should have had it with me, but I had bought about yay big. It's a gun, but it's just for display purposes only, and it's made out of wood.
Right.
And didn't think much of it, so I had it packed in my suitcase.
Oh boy.
And about 40 minutes before we take off, we hear our name over the loudspeaker. And I get up there and I go, Mr. Bonanno, we have a problem. And I go, oh, it's probably this toy gun I got packed. And all of a sudden, this security guard comes up, and he was serious looking, mean as hell. And he goes, come with me. And I go, oh, shit. I'm thinking, I'm thinking they're going to bring me in a back room and beat the crap out of me. And so they bring me down into his car, and he takes me away into the bowels of the airport, and the police come, and I'm sweating bullets. I kept saying, am I going to make my flight? Am I going to make my flight? And my poor wife's waiting back at the gate. And they went through the gun, and they did all the search, make sure there was no residue on it and stuff. And the guy never broke. He kept that straight face looking at me, and they're talking in Italian. And I'm like, oh, shit, this is going to be another Midnight Express.
Yeah, they're like,
I'm never going to be heard from again.
Paisan, Chicago. It's okay.
Yeah, they got us back to the gate of maybe 10 minutes before we took off, and I'm sweating bullets going, holy shit.
Nice.
I ain't doing that again.
Yeah, I had seen you posted, I saw you posted a couple of clips there of Jeff and band singing Silent Lucidity out on the patio.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
We're sitting out this beautiful, we stayed in a villa with the band, and every night they'd break out the guitars. And then one day we went out by the pool. They got this beautiful in-ground pool, and we brought the wine out there, and he just started singing Silent Lucidity. So I said, I got to post that. And then that's so cool. Jeff Tate casually singing Silent Lucidity. It was awesome. It was a great trip.
So Fred, you also write for Metal Temple, and here's a quote from Dallas. It says, "Our lyrics are mostly about things we observe in day-to-day life. Human behavior is a wellspring of all things bad. Quite often, there are lots of wastelands out there. So let's go and bring on Dallas. Dallas, brother, how are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Nice, man. We're doing
Good,
well.
Dallas.
Okay, so when you talk about a lot of wastelands out there, like I read in your bio, about everyone's got their own battle, but also like you've been around a lot of, like where Jason lives as well. There's a lot of drug culture. Us being metalheads, there's drug culture anyway. There of some kind. A lot of people are straight edge now, and so how do you narcotic wasteland? Is that something from something coming from the inside, or keeping it out?
It's definitely an observation of the things going on around us, and the me and my friends and some of the original members, the town that we grew up in, there was a lot of that we were exposed to growing up, and just hard street drug use, bad violent crimes, stuff like that, and and then once you start traveling the world, you realize there's a place like that just about in
everywhere,
right?
But it was definitely a source of inspiration, even early on in really early bands. We were, writing stuff about that, and it just kind of came around. The first song that we wrote for it was for this particular. It was just a project at the time because I was, still full force with Nile. The song was called "Widespread Narcotic Wasteland," and it just kind of grew from there. And we kept writing songs about it, but and it was something, like I said, it was something that we were writing back about in the early 90s. And, my group of friends, we were pretty lucky because, nobody really got into anything heavier than like weed or drinking or, maybe a little bit of hallucinogens or something, which, isn't the greatest thing for you to get into. But
in the
none of
80s,
us really got into, any of the really hard stuff, the crack, the coke, the meth.
Because when we were growing up, I think we're about close to the same age. There was that rule: no pills, no needles, and it just wasn't even questioned. It was never
a thing. Yeah,
you know what I mean. You didn't even think about it. And then the next the people after us had to be different. So as or maybe it was always there, and we just didn't succumb to it. I don't know.
We were all lucky because, in a way, I just really feel that.
Hopefully,
froze up.
It'll unfreeze. So we'll wait for him to.
We'll get him
unfreeze.
Get him back.
But Fred, did you grow up with any of your buddies growing up have any issues?
No, not really, because I was heavily involved in sports my whole life growing up, so I never did. And my brother,
It's coming back.
did.
Oh, there he is.
There you are.
There you are.
No, I was just saying that, music kept us out of all that stuff, and it kept us occupied with something a little bit more healthy. And we were all lucky. We were a little bit smarter, a little bit more lucky, and we just wanted to play metal, man, and maybe have a couple beers or something. But, we just kind of kept it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was cool about heavy metal back that, maybe is still true today, if it's music really, but all the misfits gathered together and they became metalheads because of their friends or whatever, or just hanging out in that record store. And then there was this brotherhood all of a sudden. And a lot of people, we were latchkey kids. So a lot of people, had nowhere to go, and they hung out with their metalhead buddies, and that's
it was a sense of community, right? I mean, that was
yeah,
for sure.
But having some connectivity.
Yeah,
but let me see. Let me get them back. But Jason, did you lose any? Did you lose anybody?
Yeah, I have. I had a really close friend had a heroin problem and then committed suicide, of course. But that was the worst one.
Who's going to call in? Well, we have. I by the time I was 22, I lost 22 friends from drug and alcohol, and a couple from like murder, type of thing. But
that's a huge number at that age.
Okay,
Wow.
Yeah,
it's back. I'm sorry about that, guys.
Oh, no worries, man.
It happens, man.
No worries. We're older gentlemen, hanging out talking on a Saturday night. It's all good.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I was just saying, by the time I was 22, I'd lost 22 friends from drugs, alcohol, or murder, or whatever. Just like whatever it was, the metal scene, a lot of people went there to be safe from very crazy situations.
Oh, absolutely, man. That was it was kind of our safe spot, you know, our respite away from the madness going on around us, you know, was heavy metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, you know, and then they're like, "Oh, it's Satan's music," you know, and the PMRC and the whole nine. And you know, we had this place called the Barn, and every weekend there'd be between 200 and 250 of us hanging out, and the cops all knew where we were, so they kind of left us alone. But you know, like to this day, we still have reunions 40 some years later, 40 years later. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
You know, just because you guys found music together and whatever that was, you know.
Right.
And now as an older musician, you've been around since what, 96 with your first band, Nile? Was that how long you were?
Actually, I was in bands before that. I had a band called Deucalion before then, and we were actually talking about, it's funny, we actually talked about Greek mythology.
Nice.
And then
so cool too is all metalheads are so smart. Like once you'd read their lyrics, you'd learn more.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and then I was in a band with my good longtime friend Ed Rohn, who is the original lead guitar player for Narcotic Wasteland. And when I was in Teratosis, he was actually writing songs about, you know, drug use, and they actually got mentioned in the Fayetteville Observer. That's where we're from, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay.
They were writing some songs about drug use and stuff like that. And, you know, my old band had written a couple of things like that. And it was just kind of a theme that's been growing since, I'd say, 91 or 92, you know. And, you know, you got to think about it, though. Through the history of metal, whether it be Metallica or Death, there's been songs written about it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That line in that Death song about being born addicted to cocaine, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Living Monstrosity, that's the name of that song.
Yeah.
So between that and, you know, Master of Puppets, of course, you know, it's been a recurring theme, even in 60s and 70s rock.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And you know, definitely, it's been a thing, and sometimes it's some people are celebrating it, and sometimes people are like, you know, something tragic happened or whatever. Music's always been a way for us to kind of get all that off our chest.
Sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
And how do you see your writing changing as you've matured as an artist?
It's kind of going full circle for me. I find myself kind of getting more back into the style that I was writing in the early 90s, which is probably viewed now as, people would call it like old school death metal, but for me it's just thrash punk rock ish, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, right. I don't really get a whole lot into the
genre thing,
the subgenre thing. I think I heard you guys talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, and I get it. It's a way for people to kind of describe what you do, but I don't know. I'm just I'm just too old for all that.
Yeah.
It amazed me, like, you know, like there's this, there's that. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So, like, when you started out, I mean, did you start out, you know, for me, like in the old days, you know, we were playing like, you know, get in the basement and play like Priest and Maiden and traditional, you know, I guess you call it, talking about genres, right? Traditional metal or whatever. Did you start out in bands like that, or were you like right from the get-go, were you into the more extreme stuff?
My first band played, you know, we didn't really do a lot of, I loved Maiden and Priest and all that stuff, of course, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the first band that I started playing in out of high school, we were doing like Metal Church, Metallica, Slayer, Sepultura, and Flotsam and Jetsam, and you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
a little bit of DRI, stuff like that. And that's kind of like where we all got started, anyways. And it just later on kind of, and actually, my high school band, we used to cover a song called "Battle Angels" by Sanctuary.
Oh, I love that.
Just to give you an idea of how I used to sing back in the day.
So you could pull Laurel Dane stuff off?
Yeah, when I was 15, I could hit a high F sharp. I can't do it anymore.
Man, I'll tell you, I miss that guy. I was, you know, huge Nevermore fan, Sanctuary right from the get-go.
He's one of my very favorite.
Oh, mine too.
So how do you keep your voice in shape? Like, how do you not blow out your voice? Like,
Touring.
what is it? What type of exercises are you doing, or are you? I mean, I would assume that you would be.
Oh,
I think we lost him again.
All right.
I did want to ask him that same, and I did ask him that in my interview.
Back, I can see it. It's there. He goes.
Oh, there you are. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay, so,
I don't
like,
know why. I don't know why that's happening, but
it's the Chinese spy balloons.
it's
It
voodoo, man.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it is the spy balloons though.
Oh, there you go. That's it.
So okay,
Nicely played.
I was the singer back in the day, and I'm really interested in how you keep your voice healthy. You know, like what do you do? Like, are you doing warm-ups? Do you have a technique? What's the
I probably should warm up and have some kind of technique, but I got my technique from screaming into a small combo amp in practice back in the day. And I had to scream as loud as I could to be able to hear myself in practice.
okay?
And year and year after that, and then you just kind of get the leather throat. I don't have the lovely singing voice anymore, but I it definitely helped me with just my power overall and my stamina. And we just did a one-off show. We did the Denver Death Fest about a month or so ago. I was watching some live footage of it. And about halfway through that show, my voice was getting kind of shot because, I didn't warm up or anything. I hadn't sang a note since the last time we were together.
Yeah,
and but you just push on through. And if we're in a situation where we're rehearsing, I usually like to go ahead and try and blow my voice out that night, the first night. Then second night, just kind of sing a little bit, but mostly just concentrate on the guitar. And then usually by the third night, I'm ready to go.
Oh wow!
Just go ahead and get that out of the way, because it's going to happen, especially with
Right.
where it's not really singing. You're actually more just yelling at people.
Right. Like I have this thing, and everyone thought it's weird. Every time I get a new car, before I even drive it off the lot, I scratch it with my key.
Get that out of the
Something
way.
like that.
You know what I mean? Because you get it out of the way. Whatever it's going to happen, and then you're not upset about it when it does happen, or if it does happen.
Right.
So, like, I totally get that. So,
I'd still be upset.
Dallas, getting back to the growl voice, obviously that's something you taught yourself to do, trained yourself to do.
Yeah, I think what happened with me is, of course, we all started listening to heavier stuff, but the guitar playing started to get a little bit more complicated. And the stuff I was writing, the guitar seemed like it was carrying the melody of the music a little bit more. And it was just kind of like, fuck it. It just kind of fit.
Yeah.
And my bandmates and stuff were just like, man, that sounds really wicked. Does that hurt? And I'm like,
right.
no, not really. I mean, yes, but not enough for me to care. It sounds too cool.
Right. Yeah, I'm at, because I also do voices, so I do a Yosemite Sam, and that totally fries me out. So I'm like in awe that someone can maintain that for any given amount of time. That because there is something obviously that you are doing, you know what I mean, to get there.
Yeah, and that's basically just pushing from the diaphragm and pushing so much air through your throat that you're literally distorting your vocal cords.
Okay, so it's all power.
And that's the only way I can really describe it. But I know what you mean, man. If I do my Sling Blade impression, that kind of makes my throat hurt. Ain't got no gas in it,
I like mustard with my taters.
Yeah, that kind of,
Right.
Yeah, my wife works with this girl. She's
from the chest than the actual throat. It's just pushing past your throat.
Yeah. I mean, and I do use the throat a little bit to regulate it and kind of change the tone of it, kind of the way you would if you were singing, actual notes.
Yeah.
but that kind of helps with the sustain of it all. But yeah, you push from the gut, after the first week on tour or something, or the first couple of nights of rehearsal, you'll feel it in your abs, you'll feel it in your stomach muscles.
Right.
And then that's always a good feeling, especially, getting on up there, and it's always a challenge to keep that from, looking like a pear. So it actually helps.
Right.
Yeah. So speaking of touring, I was wondering, obviously back during COVID, like everything was, other parts of the country, probably more so than ours, everything was shut down. Now that you guys are getting back out there, is number one, I imagine the expense of it is ridiculous now, right? It's probably getting a little stupid. And the
Yeah.
second question is, are you seeing a difference in the availability of venues compared to years ago, places to play?
Yes and no. I mean, we've had some really awesome venues leave us, especially during the whole COVID thing.
Right.
But there were some that definitely stuck it out, however it was, where they had a microbrew or
I think we lost him again.
That's all right.
Let's blame this one on Taylor Swift. Let's blame it on Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Outdoor concerts was kind of like saving some of the venues. And
Yeah.
Let's see. Hopefully, there's probably a storm somewhere.
Yeah.
It was supposed to storm here, but it went south.
Yeah, I've had issues until I hardwired. You remember how mine was.
Uh-huh. But yeah, with the different venues and everything, the venues pretty much have to ask you these days.
Yeah.
Well,
I got thinking about that because, like, especially in other states where they were like just, they were forced to shut down. I mean,
here we go. Right? We're back. Damn,
so
that's irritating.
So outdoor venues.
Yeah, outdoor venues, and maybe some of the places had a microbrew or something like that. They were serving food or something like that, and that's what kind of helped them stay afloat during the Twilight Zone episode we were living.
Yeah.
So speaking of playing Dallas, I see you got 2 huge fests coming up here in August that you'll be busting eardrums at. Loud as Hell Open Air Fest in Canada, and then you got the Menominee Death Metal Fest in Menominee, Wisconsin. Do you prefer playing at a fest like that where there's 20 bands and maybe not everybody there knows your band and maybe never heard of you, or would you rather play at a venue where you're headlining and everybody there is there to see you?
I think I like a good balance of both. I think you need both. You know what I mean? Like we've gone out and done some fairly decent headlining runs, and then we were lucky to open for Accept. We were lucky to open for Malevolent Creation. We've had a couple of lucky things that we've got to do that kind of helps expose the band to an audience that maybe haven't heard us before. But yeah, I think it's a balance of both. And one of the things that I'm kind of enjoying is the fact that this particular band is able to experience some of these American fests. My previous band, Nile, you don't really see Nile on a lot of American fests. You'll see them in Europe, but not really over here. And I'm glad to see the Milwaukee Metal Fest went so well. We actually played in Nile. We played Milwaukee Metal Fest. I believe it was 99 or 2000.
Yeah.
It's just great to see a legendary festival
come back,
and maybe we'll be on there next year or something.
Yeah, that was Jamie Josta that really helped to bring that back. I believe, right, from Hatebreed. Oh, he lost him again,
dude. Wisconsin and Chicago have some of the best crowds ever for a rock audience, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, there's definitely, and you guys got some great venues up that way too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yep.
But
Yeah, he mentioned Milwaukee Metal Fest. I heard it went really well. I think it was this past weekend, right?
It was super recent. It was last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I listened to Jamie Joss's podcast. I believe he was promoting that, or he was somehow had something to do with bringing that back. Which is cool. And there was, Dallas mentioned Metal Church earlier. And
I hope Dallas isn't getting too
frustrated with this. Yeah, it is aggravating. But I also heard an interview with Kurt from Metal Church the other day too. They're back together. A new singer, since Mike committed suicide, I guess, a couple of years ago.
Nice.
Good to see them back. Still doing things. So.
Right on. Absolutely.
But, that is cool. I would like to see more. We have down here Carolina Rebellion last couple of years, and that's been a cool thing.
Yeah.
Usually it's in Charlotte. I went probably 5-6 years ago. Good time. It was real hot though. You're getting old when you're missing like AC and a comfy seat, right? Like God, what have I become?
Yeah.
So.
But So when we were talking before the show started, I asked, how many beats per minute.
Yeah.
Does he write it and stuff? So we were talking, and he said 204 was kind of like the fastest, or kind of right in there. And the normal metal beats per minute is 134.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, but dude, it's like I was amazed. I'm like, that's real precision. Like,
Oh yeah.
I can't move my hand that fast.
Well, even speaking of guitar playing, I mean, like his right hand, I'm like, I watch him play and I go, God, I can't do that stuff. I just, maybe for a minute, but I mean, to do that for a whole, set or two, I mean, wow.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And it is, like, when I was talking about the beats per minute and just like I was blown away from the drummer, like you have to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to know your shit and have the stamina in order to do that.
Yep. Night after night.
You mess up. I mean, you're going that fast. You can't miss.
Oh,
like if you miss, like,
Yep.
It's a whole new thing. And it's so like fast, like doing the double bass, the kick drums.
Oh yeah. That always amazes me, man. It's like, and I like to watch. Oh, go ahead.
How do you write that? How do you write that?
Yeah.
Well, and sorry about that, guys.
Oh, no,
for some reason, my laptop like totally just says there's no internet. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's actually like a storm in like mid Illinois underneath us. It just missed us.
Okay.
So that would make sense if some, who knows.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm back.
Cool.
But so we were talking about beats per minute, and how normal, quote unquote, normal metal is 134, and you're at about 204. And Fred just said, how do you write that? Do you automatically just write? Are you writing at speed, or are you writing, like, are you dicking around on an acoustic guitar sometimes and then you go pick up the electric and speed it up? Or how do you come up with ideas like that?
Sometimes I'll hear something in my head that's fast and I'll have to kind of work on it to get it up to that speed.
Okay.
But typically when I hear it, it's already at whatever speed that I'm thinking in. It's just kind of there. I've got a piece, a melody that I've been working on for a new song, actually, that's going to be on like the next album, not the one that's about to come out this year, but the next album. And it's kind of got like, it's kind of a cruiser blast beat kind of thing, and I just hear it in my head, you know what I mean? And then I'll demo it out with, in my little studio, and then, and then we'll work on it, and, the guys will put their spin on it or whatever. And, we kind of converse back and forth from the original demo idea.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, Fred, go ahead. Go ahead, you first.
I was just to say, speaking of writing, and I want to get into some of your lyrics a little bit later, but walk me through writing your songs, Dallas. Do you write the lyrics and then come up back with the music, or is it a combination, or do you write the music and then go, I'll make lyrics work into this?
It goes both ways. Sometimes I'll have a lyrical idea or a chorus idea, kind of, and work from there. Or sometimes I'll have musical ideas that'll give me a certain feeling, and and then I'll work on it from that angle. So it really depends, man. It's all of the above has happened in this band. There was a song that I wrote in a night called Coastal Killings.
Yeah.
And it's about Donald Henry Gaskins, Pee Wee Gaskins. He's like a famous South Carolina serial killer.
Yep.
And I literally wrote that song in a night. I read the book that day, and very difficult book to get through, especially about halfway. I don't know if you believe in the death penalty or not, but about halfway through that book, he'll make you want to. He is a hateful son of a bitch, man. And so I was, once I was just so blown away by it, and then went out into the studio and just started jamming around. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd finished Coastal Killings.
Nice. Cool.
Just out of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool because I mess around with writing songs. I can't. You told me write a song. I couldn't sit down and write it. I have to piecemeal it together. Can you sit down? If I told you, Dallas, write me a song, can you sit down and write a song, or do you have to? Does it have to come to you maybe over the course of a few days? It'll get put together.
Again, sometimes it'll just flow out really quickly, and then sometimes it takes a year to write a song. I mean,
Right.
And varying results. I mean, either one of them has made some really awesome stuff. The cool thing about the one that takes a while to write is you take your time and think about it, and you can really dial everything in the way you want it. And then the beauty of not doing that is that you can just be in the zone and come up with something in a single night, and it's both awesome. So, for very opposite reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
The spontaneity of one versus the, rigid compositional attack of the other one,
Yeah.
Like you could be working on something for 9 months and you're coming back from the grocery store, you walk in the jam room and you get it and you're like, and that's the 2 seconds you were looking for, and because you're carrying groceries.
That's it. You just start singing it.
Yeah,
or whatever, or you pick up the guitar and just be like, oh man, this go perfectly right here.
That's the magic part of it, the alchemy.
Yeah, that is the magic, where especially if what'll happen with me is I'll start working on something, I'll get a couple of ideas, and then once you record a couple of those ideas, whether it be just on your phone or in your in your home studio setup, and then after a while, you just start getting more ideas as you're working on it. And that's pretty cool, because then you get that sort of stream of consciousness. And then as long as it's so easy to just capture it, it's funny to watch, Metallica talk about it, because they always say riff tapes. And I still call them riff tapes. But a lot of times I'll just record video of me on the little phone guy here. And then I'll go through and be like, oh, wow, I don't even remember that. Right. And then I'll find all the stuff that I like, and then I'll go actually track it in my studio.
Yeah.
Then work on it from there.
Now, speaking of your studio, I mean, the production on your stuff is great. Are you guys recording these records like yourself, or is there a local studio you're going to, or what's the process with the actual recording?
Since the beginning, I've been doing all the guitar, bass, and vocals with my studio.
Okay.
And then for this particular, for the first record and this particular record, we're working with Eric Schultek, who's performing the drums, but he also has a really nice studio setup called Level 3 Studios. So if you ever hit him up, man. Check out level3studios.com. He's a great engineer, he's just been getting better and better. And the first album he actually did, I believe, was the debut album.
Okay.
And it came out really great. And the 3 singles that we put out so far this year, he mixed and engineered, and he and I, just kind of went back and forth, bring this up a little bit or maybe tweak this a little bit. And it's great working with him. He'll hit me up and we're on the messenger and be like, you want to do some Skype and beers tonight? And I'll end up getting completely sloshed. Yeah. I gotta go to bed, man. I'll talk to you later. But yeah.
So he did
that's a good way to kind of powwow and brainstorm like what's going on and kind of get like a list in our minds of how we want to proceed and what needs to be done.
Yeah. Victim to the Algorithm, man. That was killer. It was good.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to a story that Mr. Bachman from the Guess Who and Bachman Turner Overdrive was telling. Okay, and it's the stream of conscious that you're talking about, Dallas. Is they're playing this gig, right, in Oregon, 1970. His string breaks. He doesn't have a tech. There's no table. Like he's got to do this on his knee on stage, and the singer goes out back because he has like 3 minutes, and there's this dude who sells all these like bootleg Dylan and like all these other bands you could buy like out of people's trunks at the time. So he's like out there getting music, and he's tuning his guitar up, right? And he goes dun, 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 and the crowd freaks out.
Oh, American Woman.
He goes dun, 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 and the singer runs back. He goes, "My band's going on." Never did they play this song, Stream of Conscious.
Oh, wrote it live?
That was the song.
Wow. Yeah, when does that happen, right? Yeah. Cool story. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Totally. And of course he gets blocked out. Darn it. But
yeah.
Well, technical things do.
You can't do anything about it, man.
Yeah. No, I just, hope he's not bummed.
Well, he's probably not pleased, but what can you do?
We mean well.
Yeah. We try. We all try.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool. Just out of the,
mm-hmm.
like bolts from the parking lot, an American Woman, right? So then they had to record it.
Could they remember it?
No.
Right.
So there's this guy who like would bootleg.
Oh, he saved the day.
And he had the new cassette thing with boombox thing technology,
Nice.
And they tracked him down, and that's how they got the
That's awesome.
Got the lyrics and everything and made the record.
Dude, you know what happens to me
That's
sometimes?
Crazy.
And it aggravates me. Have you ever been asleep, dreaming, and written a song in the dream, like it's complete, and you wake up and you can't remember it?
That's why keep a piece of paper and a pencil next to the bed. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I wake. Yeah. I wake up and it's gone. But I know it was there. I know it was complete. Like melody, verses, chorus, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, I write it all down, dude.
Makes me want to go to a hypnotist or something.
I do too. I do the same thing, Vince. An idea will come to me. Somebody will say something. You'll be in a car and somebody will say, "Hey, dumbass, pick a lane." And I go, "Pick a lane," and I'll write down "pick a lane." I go, "That's a song." Just got to figure out how I'm going to work that into a song. I got the title. I got a shitload of working titles,
right?
But no lyrics yet.
I hear you, man.
Totally.
Yeah, but that's like we were talking.
Before we forget, hold on. Ralph.
We didn't forget you this time, Ralph.
He's coming.
He's coming back.
He's coming.
And we're back. I had to completely restart my damn laptop, but okay.
Man, sorry.
Oh man, sorry about
probably
that.
It's something on my end. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. It's all part of the deal. So Total Stream of Consciousness, American Woman was written in 3 minutes because he broke a string. That's crazy.
When it comes out of space, right?
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. So, writing about mass murder.
Oh, it's coming back. Okay. There we go. All right.
Writing about mass murderers. I got one for you.
All right.
My dad was a magician and a clown, okay? And my dad was blacklisted from Vegas. This is like in the 60s, and, you know, in the 70s and 80s, he was a magician. And so all the local clowns knew each other. My dad was also in construction, so you know who was at my motherfucking house? Mr. John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy. You gotta tell Dallas who that
Oh,
is.
wow.
Yeah, he lived like 3 miles from us. So he like construction buddy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Doody-doo. Hey, Mr. Gacy.
Come here, little Vince. Come here.
Right? Oh,
Yeah, that's
no
some,
wonder
some scary shit.
Yeah, isn't
That's
that
some
funny?
scary
Though?
shit.
Like, you never know, though. You know, that's
Yeah,
what's so
terrifying.
fascinating. You know,
When we were talking once, Vince, you and I, about Charles Manson, and before he did all the murders,
yeah,
they used to break into houses and rearrange the furniture just to
Right.
see if they could do it without waking people up.
right.
And you wonder how many people woke up and said, "What the fuck happened to our
Right.
house?"
Well, I would just go in
And-
and like swap out salt and pepper shakers. Just
Yeah.
what?
And then think about that. 2 years later, the Manson stuff comes out, and you're going, "Shit, they were in my house."
Right.
How freaky would that be?
Yeah. You know, what is it about mass murderers that fascinated people? Is it because you would never assume it was them?
Yeah.
For me, I think it. For me personally, I think it's just human behavior in general has been kind of a fascination of mine. Me and the old lady, we've been rewatching Dexter lately, and the first time I watched it, I wasn't into true crime as much,
Sure.
and then after about 6 or 7 years of falling asleep to Forensic Files, I'm really into it now, and I read about this stuff all the time, and I think it's just the fascination for me is how someone could be so detached to where they could be so cruel, and
Right.
I think it's something that we all should look at because especially nowadays with everybody being so connected, like not everybody is a serial killer, but there is this sort of underlying level of sort of narcissism going on in society.
Oh,
And
for sure.
a lot of people spend most of their time trying to justify their shitty behavior instead of figuring out why they behave that way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe in my opinion is, I mean, we've all had that time of our life. You go, I could kill that son of a bitch, knowing you'll never act on it.
Yeah.
Then to know somebody out there actually does act on it, or will go into a school and just start blowing people away. I mean, you'd never in your right mind would think of doing that. So maybe that's what fascinates us.
Well,
What clicks in that person's head?
Right. Well, you
Makes
said
it-
it in their right mind wouldn't.
Well,
Not in their right.
Yeah.
when I'm driving truck all day, I'm listening to podcasts and just whatever, just to pass the time. But I was listening to Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan, and something interesting he brought up, concerning what we're talking about. He was talking about how within society there's personality archetypes, and people with that are prone to psychopathy have always been there, and it's been a small percentage, and that that basically society kind of keeps them in check, because you have other men that are that can be violent, but they're typically they're basically good, but they're not opposed to violence. Will keep the balance. Well, with this social media kind of age and everything, where everybody sort of can hide behind this anonymity and being miles apart, that it tends to that we're seeing a rise in that type of behavior that we didn't have in past. It makes sense, you know what I mean? That the internet is sort of bolstering psychopathic tendencies in people that in the past hasn't been there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and as early as the old AOL chat rooms, there was already predators and people there's a couple of Forensic Files episode on that actually, but yeah, it was already happening then. It was people were, luring people in and then actually get them to meet up and then, killed or kidnapped or murdered or raped or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all new territory. It's going to have to. It's probably going to be a period that's until it sort of balances out again. But people are learning how to sort of navigate this new shit, right?
Yeah, and everybody, doesn't matter who you are, you got to be careful.
Yeah,
definitely be careful with your information, but also, who you are, where you are, and all that, because not everybody's a nice person, and that's something that we learned the hard way. Most of us, we were really young and dumb. We learned that one the hard way.
Right.
Welcome to the Forensic Files.
I still want to learn that intro music one day.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating. Like you're talking about the cruelty of the man, like just having nothing there. And then you see the desensification from like the internet, and everyone just think that their opinion is fact. Opinions aren't facts. Law has nothing to do with emotion.
Yeah,
we're not your parents. You know what I mean? And everyone's looking to be outraged over the slightest infraction, and it's like, dude, there's three worlds going on. People who never go on the internet, people who are on the internet and they watch one way of news or one way of a political belief, and I'm generalizing majorly, and then the other side of the political belief, and then you have the independents who aren't really involved in what's going on the left and the right. And there's multiple realities being played out or believed in at the same time. It's very weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird to see because there's a structure to each of them.
Yeah. And it all turns out to be extremely divisive. And I really think it's a lot of people definitely use it to get us angry at each other because that gives them advertising revenue.
Divide and conquer, keep people pissed off. I always tell people, I'm like, hey, if the first paragraph, the first sentence or two pisses you off, it's not there to have any conversation. They're there to just inflame emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's exactly it. It's divide us and conquer us.
Yeah, it's like team think. Well, there's gray areas where in the past, people are like, oh, okay, I'm not talking about any of that crap. But, like generalization of ideas, you could have a gray area where, two political cults could agree on something for the betterment, hopefully. But I don't know. It's so, I don't know.
It's a wide divide, man. And George Carlin had a few things to say about it, So that's something along the lines of, hey, everybody, look over here while we jam this red, white, and blue dick in your ass. Something like that.
Exactly. And that's what I told both my boys. It was a George Carlin subterfuge skit. I said,
so, I mean,
I love that. I love that, man. Rest in peace. George Carlin for president if he was still alive.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, dude, he'd be like, his head would be
like in a dungeon
around
somewhere,
If he was around now, his head would be spinning around. Man.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of victims of the algorithm, I mean, when you wrote that, was it what we're talking about? Was that kind of the inspiration there?
Yeah, that was actually the ongoing theme. And then I was talking to our drummer, Joe Howard, and he so happened to have a set of lyrics that fit exactly what the song was talking about. And it did it in such a way that I hadn't previously thought of. I instantly just fell in love with the lyrics. And then we just started putting it to the song, and it just fit like a glove. And we were just like, oh my God. And then, what it talks about. And again, it definitely talks about that sort of inherent narcissism and how it divides everybody and how divisive it's become politically and otherwise, just to, keep us confused, keep us scared, keep us angry at each other.
Yep.
And, but yeah, here we are playing the game.
Yeah.
It's the fear tactics,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people would wake up and
do you know what the top two things that are the worst for your immune system?
Stress,
isolation, and fear.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Right.
I mean, that's just a weird, everyone's like coming out of this, like you can see people are like walking up like they're hungover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was funny, like that first summer after everything opened up, it was a little bit tighter maybe here than where you guys are at. I don't know. But, everyone gained 60 pounds.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, whoa. Like when the first summer came out, I was like, holy shit.
Well, I was down in South Carolina living in Greenville, and I in my job, I was deemed essential. I was, just basically like a warehouse forklift type guy.
Me too.
It was decent money, decent company, but we were deemed essential, so I didn't get to take the break. But man, just the whole Twilight Zone episode of it and how people were behaving, and it was getting kind of scary there for a minute. But
mass hypnosis is mass, psychosis. A lot of PTSD left and right. Depression, a lot of,
Yeah. Oh, I'm seeing it here, man. I was like, the shooting and the bullshit, never used to happen here like it is now. I mean, there's like, 5, 6 a week, which, I mean, you're in Chicago, you guys. I mean, you probably laugh at that, but I mean, if you knew like Greenville area, it was, so.
Yeah, there's definitely some wasteland like areas in Greenville. I mean, Greenville, there's a lot of nice places too, but yeah, there's got places there where you need to watch your ass. And
sure,
you can see it in the way people drive. I mean, I've always been a firm believer. If you drive like an asshole, then you're probably an asshole. If you have no regard for the people around you, the way you drive is going to show that to me immediately.
Yep.
And that's coming from a professional road rager, middle finger distributor.
Yeah.
I have a theory for those people because I drive for a living too, like Jason, and I have to put it in my mind this way, or I'll get all incensed. They got explosive diarrhea, and those motherfuckers are trying to get home, but they ain't gonna make it.
Oh, that's how you make it.
Right.
So that way I can laugh at it. Otherwise, I'd be like, "What?"
Right?
Really? Like, dude, we're in a rock in space, floating.
Just
exactly.
Relax. Everybody be cool to each other. I mean, it's not the big deal. Yeah,
you're not more significant than me, and I really love the dickhead that just has to get around you in traffic, and then guess who's right beside me at the red light?
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, they have to do that, or they flip you off.
Stupid motherfucker.
Yeah.
Or they're flipping you off when they're breaking the law, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Or they cut you off to make the right turn right in front of you, like they could have waited 8 seconds. I mean,
oh yeah. If in another time, and another place, they would have experienced a different Dallas Toler-Wade. But people have guns now. They can't duke it out. No dignity. Kind of like what Morality and the Wasp talks about. It's all this passive aggressive bullshit. Everybody wants to pull a weapon, and whatever happened to a good old game of slaps. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Best man wins.
Talking about that just last week, okay? And here's the thing. Back in our day, you with someone, you got in a fight, and then you're getting drunk with each other, and your best buddies, they're one of your best friends for life.
You rolled around, got dirty, got scraped up, and
think about, because of the weapon issue, think about all the great lost friendships.
Oh yeah, totally, man.
I
And
never got to have, like there's a, there's where the genocide is,
Right.
yeah, totally. And there's where that's the scary part, that level of detachment,
right.
Of being able to actually justify in your mind taking it to that level. It's one thing to, I want to kick that guy's face,
Right.
but to blow him in half with a shotgun, I mean, that's a little extreme, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Crazy.
Yeah, over a traffic deal, I mean,
yeah, or a loved, a spouse, or maybe some shit like that going on. It's like, hey,
yeah.
But it's the Wild West.
It's getting there, isn't it, man? I'm telling you.
We're pretty much have always been the Wild West.
Yeah. Speaking of it, I just finished a book about the Hatfields and McCoys, and holy shit, dude! Like what we're talking about, it's like, man, life was cheap back then. It's like, you cross somebody, like their whole family's trying to kill you. I mean, like it really was, drop of a dime. So maybe society, we've gone like ebbed and flowed. You know what I mean? Like we were fucked up, then we got it together a little bit, now we're fucked up again. Maybe it's working like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, we're still more civilized than we were overall.
Yeah.
But at least now we're able to sort of look at the issues and address them to a certain degree. I think we still need some work addressing some of the issues, but overall, we are more civilized as a species than we were. But we still got a lot of work to do. Like I always say, evolution is a extremely painfully slow process, and I'm glad that we're able to sit here and talk about it, and maybe get some people that watch this their brains will kind of wake up a little bit, and or maybe they're already thinking that way. People that are into metal and shit. We're kind of like minded. We think outside the box. We don't just listen to the television.
Yeah,
and
it's okay to question whatever.
Question everything.
Yeah.
Form your own ideas, form your own opinions, find out about, find the facts.
Right. And one thing you always can have with the metalhead is a great conversation, because most are educated, self-educated at that.
Yeah, because we realized really early on that the education system left us behind a long time ago.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're kind of out to fend for ourselves, but the good news is a lot of us did. And
yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're right, Dels. There's so many resources out there to research and dig into this. So you don't have to, when they force feed you something, you don't have to. There's so many ways to find out answers you need. You don't have to listen to what everybody's telling you.
Yeah, totally. Just figure it out for yourself. I mean, that's, what you're talking about right there is how elections are won. Well, I heard Danny at work, he's gonna vote for blibbity blab, and
right.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear this other guy's a commie and all this other stuff, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
I think my personal opinion on it is if we the people want to win this war, we need to stop giving rich assholes our money. We need to all collectively just remove our shit from the banks, stop shopping Amazon, stop shopping Walmart. All these guys, stop using their stuff, and then they're powerless. Right. And then we have our country back.
Right.
But that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? I could be completely wrong about that, and that's okay.
No, we've seen that here lately.
Putting it out there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you there.
There's been a few, but I don't want to get into why, but but there's been a few really successful boycotts, like none happened before.
Powers in the dollar on both.
You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily what the issue's wrapped around. It's that they wrapped it around the last vestige of the American male, which is his beer can. And it sounds
right, yeah.
But that was the one place where he could go, and I'm talking about Joe Sixpack.
Yeah.
And that's what I explained to people. It's like, it's not a transit. It could have been whatever.
Yeah, whatever the issue.
You made everything else in the world political, but I still had my beer. And that sounds stupid, but to a lot of people, that's important.
Yeah. Well,
No.
and you know, this consumer society we've been in for like, you know, our whole lives basically.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, when you wake up and you realize that they need you more than you need them,
Oh yeah,
you know.
dude,
I've been a huge
right
sports
here
guy my whole life.
that my grandfather built in 1920, and the bookcase I bought 5 years ago, I got to fucking throw away.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been a huge sports guy my whole life, and sports was always to me a release from the world. You put the game on, you go to a game, you forget about reality for a while because you're watching sports. And they've politicalized that now to the point where you don't even want to watch sports anymore because that was my release from all this other bullshit.
Yep.
And now they're doing that shit, you know, the kneeling for the flag and the other stuff. What's
Right, and that's the whole thing. Like, you know, everyone's like, "Hey, man, quit suffocating us with all." You know what I mean? Like, take a breath. Fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're force feeding us. They're force feeding us, and enough's enough. At some point, you're right. The beer, it's a simple. Okay, it's beer, but at some point, you can't keep forcing the shit at us.
Right.
And what you're saying, Dallas, you know, hit them where it hurts. Pocketbook, Amazon, Walmart.
Right. What I'm saying is, like, we've heard about all these boycotts that have happened before, and they haven't done anything.
Right.
And then these two boycotts come on, and they're like, you know, historical in a business sense. Like, this will change the, you know, the, what do you call it? The reverberation of that. Two companies doing that.
I mean, the lesson just needs to be strength in numbers, you know? I mean, like-minded people.
Well, here's the thing, like, don't quit politicizing everything. I think that's all that pretty much right now everyone's asking. Yeah. It's been a rough 6 years.
You could say that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think basically
the
people
commander-in-chief just keeps getting stupider and fucking stupider, in my opinion, you know? It's kind of a shit show there, and it's hard for me to take any of it seriously, but this is what I think this is what a lot of people need to realize. Whatever agenda you're trying to push, good or bad, it's their right to do it if they want to, and it's the other person's right to protest it.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is supposed to be the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and you can just leave it there.
Right.
You know,
that's all you want, man, right?
Everybody can get out and express their feelings on things and all that, and it not turned into this complete war of bigotry. You know what I mean? Everybody's entitled to their opinions and their beliefs. And if I don't have to believe it, I don't have to understand it. It ain't my damn business.
And I
don't expect everybody in the world to believe what I think, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that's supposed to be the beauty of it, you know?
They don't want people to have discussions, and that's when you have to have discussion.
And we started a race in history.
When they don't want you to.
That's where you learn. You learn from history. You don't erase it. You learn from it. And we're erasing it like it never happened. No, you learn from it, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah. So I mean, there's obviously a reaction that's happening within the brain that's affecting the behavioral system with all the electronics, and that's just apparent. So, and like
we're victims of our environment,
right? Like you're like a victim of the algorithm, you know. Absolutely, and some people may not be in that algorithm, and those are the people that they're scared of.
Yeah, and that's the ones they need to be scared of, because we're not going to be. I kind of, in a way, consider myself, if I was to identify as anything, I would identify as a sort of modern day barbarian. I don't need all this bullshit to be a good person, and I consider myself to have a pretty strong moral center, and you know, I don't need all this indoctrination and stuff to tell me how to be,
right?
You know,
right?
And that's actually, there's going to be a song coming up on the new album that's going to be talking a little bit more in depth about that.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm excited. I'm real happy to share that one. That's going to be a ripper. And,
yeah, it's like the snarky people are telling the people who've always been cool with everybody how to behave.
yeah.
That was what was cool about metal. We never gave a fuck.
Yeah, man. And the metal guys, and there's a lot of stuff on your TikToks and your Dick Docs and all that stuff about Gen X and all this, that, and the other thing. And you know what? They're right in some ways. We didn't give a shit, and yes, we did bury our feelings a little bit, stuff like that. But we were the generation that started, well, we were one of the ones. We were one of the later generations that had a little bit more tolerance for individuality.
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, of course, it started in the '60s and the '70s and stuff, free speech movement, what have you. But yeah, we're kind of a product of that, and it's a good thing. And I think we're a lot of good people out there, and we don't judge, we don't care.
Right.
Do your thing, and just don't try to force your shit down my throat, and I'm fine. Right. I'm not going to try and force mine down yours, and everybody can just do their thing and be individuals. And
it's like, just tell me your name and shake my hand.
Yeah.
It's been working for 60.
I don't need to know anything else about you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Well, so Dallas, what's next, man? You said you're working on a new record, tours coming up.
Some tour dates going on.
Yep, we got quite a few coming up. We got Texas coming up later this month, and then in August we've got sort of some West Coast stuff, and then Canada, and also some shows with a band called Massacre. They're like old school death metal from hell. Nice. So we're excited about playing some shows with them. Some of the other shows that we're doing, we'll be playing. Check it out, man.
Yeah, you'll be in Fort Worth, Texas on June 24th. You'll be in Corpus Christi, Texas, June 25th. July 30th, San Francisco, California. Absolutely.
Really? That's awesome. I never keep track of this shit. So.
You'll be in Portland, Oregon on July 31st, August 1. You'll be in Seattle, Washington. You'll be Loud as Hell Open Air Festival, August 5th. Z Murder Fest 2023, Saturday, August 12th. Nice, man.
Yeah, we're firing back up, and this album has pretty much been ready, but between stuff with pandemic and just stuff going on in my life, good or bad, mostly good, but you know how things are. Things just take longer than anticipated a lot of times. You know what I mean? And you just try to chip away at it as best you can when you have the time. And yeah, I'm really excited about the singles that we've released so far. We're going to release one more. It's actually about true crime. I'm not going to give any more details about the song other than that. And then sometime this year, I know I've been kind of promising this album for a while now, and it's been pretty much ready other than just mixing and doing the final tweaks on it. But yeah, it's coming. We don't have a distinct date on it yet, but it will be out this year. I guarantee it.
Right on.
Finally, because I'm already starting to write material for the next album. So
nice.
I'll be so happy to have it out finally. And I think if you're fans of what we do, or if you're fans of metal, any facet of metal, there's going to be something on here that you might like.
Awesome.
Right on. Well, dude, thanks for coming on, man. You have to come back whenever. If you just want to come in and hang out, shoot the shit, you got something to promote.
Got the record coming out. We could do something with that. Man.
Hell yeah, man. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Right on. So good luck on your
tour. Before you go, happy birthday on Tuesday.
Hey, thank you. Yeah.
Nice. Happy birthday, sir. And then
thanks
Fred, you got one like 2 days after that, right?
2 days after you, fellow Gemini. So yeah.
Welcome to Planet Gemini. Your luggage will be destroyed.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just celebrated our 200th episode, so there's the trifecta. So
Right on.
Nice.
absolutely.
I actually like that beer very much.
Which one?
Trifecta. That actually, there's a place called Shuck and Shack in Greenville that I got killer seafood there and stuff like that, kind of bar food kind of place.
Pelham
and they
Road?
have Trifecta on tap, or they used to have Trifecta on tap. It's one of my favorites.
Is that on Pelham, Dallas? Pelham Road?
Yeah. They have one in Pelham and one in Sleasley.
Oh, okay.
Right on. Right on.
You said that
That
out
sounds like
loud.
a great
by
town.
I know. I know.
Right. And remember, guys, if you're feeling down, there's always someone there to talk to you, even if you think there isn't. Call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or dial 988 at the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. We know sometimes that phone is the heaviest lift, but we promise you, if you make that effort, there'll be someone there to help you. And it's important to talk to someone. So on that note,
Absolutely.
thank you, Dallas, very much for coming on, sir.
Thank
We
you, bro.
appreciate it.
Thanks
Fred?
very much for having me.
You're welcome. Fred, have a good one, man. Jason, love you, brother.
guys
Love
too.
you, Fred.
See you.
Take
Peace
care,
out.
guys.
And
Have a good one, guys.
All right.
we'll see you next time.
care, guys.
Creativity Talking, if I can find the video. There you go.